The police chief of Minneapolis says investigators have interviewed dozens of relatives and friends of the suspected school shooter, except his mom. In fact, there are reports this morning Mary Grace Evans has refused to talk to investigators and has even hired a criminal defense attorney. Joining us this morning to discuss is Defending Education's Director of Outreach, Erika Sanzi. Good morning to you, Erika. Great to see you. Now, what'd you make of this mother hiring a criminal defense attorney?
You know, certainly this is not my area of expertise, but just what I've seen online, I suspect that anybody getting the amount of attention that she's getting in the wake of a situation as horrific as this would probably end up having to retain counsel. But beyond that, I have no idea. I was a bit surprised to hear that she wasn't cooperating. They hadn't been able to interview. I think that's a shame, but I don't know any other details about that.
And it's not just any defense attorney. This is a defense attorney that's had high-profile clients like Colin Kaepernick, George Floyd protesters. This is all according to the New York Post. Now, according to this attorney, he says she's completely distraught and that she has no culpability, but wanted representation, as you mentioned, to deal with some of these calls from the media and also from police. As a mom of boys yourself, there are questions as to how much you know about your child as a parent and whether they are a danger to someone else. Should parents, do you think, be held liable in some capacity for the actions of their adult children if those children are living in your house and you have knowledge of this?
My answer to that, without giving it a ton of thought, is no. I mean, this was an adult for sure. I'm also not even clear on which parent he was living with at the time, but certainly it is a reminder that when there are signs, and I suspect there were tons, you need to do something. The problem is, and I've watched documentaries about this, is that there are times where parents may even think and fear for what their child may be capable of doing. I've seen interviews with parents in other situations who fear the worst like this and say that they can't even really get any help. So even if they had done everything right in this case, and certainly there are areas in which I think mistakes were made, I don't even know what could have been done in advance, because usually what happens is it's that they can't do anything until something terrible happens, and clearly that's a problem and not working.
And to your point, we really don't know where he lived. There were several addresses. There was a mom's address, a dad's address. We know that investigators executed 4 search warrants and retrieved a lot of digital evidence, a lot of devices there. Now, according to the New York Post, the suspected killer said he had been brainwashed into being transgender. This is also according to that video of his alleged manifesto on YouTube. Now, according to the Post, he wrote, quote, "I only keep the long hair because it is pretty much my last shred of being trans. I'm tired of being trans. I wish I never brainwashed myself. I can't cut my hair now as it would be an embarrassing defeat, and it might be a concerning change of character that could get me reported. It just always gets in my way. I will probably chop it on the day of the attack." Very chilling there, these words. We know the mother signed the paperwork for him to change his name from, Robert to Robin when he was a minor. We talk about parental rights all the time. His mother is the one who helped him. This is a major life decision, though, and critics online questioning his own mother and these life-altering decisions that she made for her own child. Should there be protections in place to prevent this?
I mean, my biggest, thinking about this has to do with all of these lessons around gender being in the schools and at very young ages, right? And so I also know, and they shouldn't be there, by the way. So number one, to me, get all of this gender ideology, teaching young children about gender identity and telling them that doctors and parents guess what their gender is and it's for them to choose, and all of this insanity. This is, to me, just further evidence. All of that needs to be pulled out of schools in terms of curriculum and policy. Now, with the mother, what I do know about this is that oftentimes it is the medical professionals and the psychiatric professionals that tell parents that the best thing they can do for their children and the only way to, quote unquote, save their child's life is to affirm and to go along with the name change. So for all we know, she went in and signed that paper because every single expert that she trusted to help her with her son told her she had to do that. So again, I feel like these are very complex topics because we don't know She may have hated the idea of doing it, but she may have been told by a medical professional, you need to do this if you want to save your son's life.
And
It's a terrible position that these parents find themselves in. We don't know the details of her specifically, but again, I'm not jumping out to judge this mother because I don't know yet how she got to the point where she signed that paper.
Right. And we do know at this point, and this is what police are saying, that she has thus far refused to cooperate with them. And she has, as we've mentioned, hired that criminal defense attorney. So a lot of questions still about this. And as we said, investigators still feverishly investigating and talking to family members and friends, but not her. Defending Education's Director of Outreach, Erika Sanzi, great to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Jan. Have a good weekend.
You too.